Okay. Hello.
What's up?
What's up?
Here we
Home
are.
boys.
Yeah, home girls, everything
Oh
in between.
yeah.
Home they, home them.
Home they, home cats, home
yeah.
dogs.
Ooh, home furries.
Home furries.
Home furries. What's up,
Oh,
home
yeah.
furries? Keep them tails going. What's up? We out here. What are we doing? Where we at? What's going on? Where am I?
Oh no.
Oh, there's all these books everywhere. I didn't even know. I got lost on the way here. For real, I did. It was a total dude. Where's
Oh
my
my
car
gosh,
situation?
really?
So I do apologize for my tardiness, but
Okay, just you don't have that long line at the Chinese station. And then sorry.
And then it was a very much like, dude, so yesterday, my wife and I went to pick up our cat's medication because for whatever reason we can only get this medication at one pharmacy in the middle of nowhere in West Virginia. And so we have to go out. Well, West Virginia's not in the middle of nowhere, relatively speaking. From Front Royal, West Virginia, Winchester's the big city. West Virginia is not a big city.
Yeah.
But
we're like our rival partners.
Yeah, I'd like to think it's more of like a cooperative.
Oh,
It's
really?
like, yeah, you think about it like, so I think West Virginia is sort of like the New Zealand of Washington D.C. and we're like the Australia, and then they're the rest of the UK. That's my geographical joke that I'm working on. I do think that we have some, think about it, like we have funny accents comparatively speaking. They're different, like they're kind of the same but different.
Oh yeah.
We dress a little bit differently. We're broker.
Yeah.
A little bit broker,
Because those DC people.
But you know what? What we concede in money, we retrieve in quality of life out here, and I put that on a cracker and eat it. That's one of my homes. Shout out Steel Cracker. I love Steel Cracker. That dude's cool. You know about Steel Cracker?
No, I don't actually.
Oh my God, Steel Cracker. He is a internet sensation. And like soon to be, like the Forlorn podcast, soon to be internet sensation. And he's a big old boy from Louisiana, and he cooks crawfish and catfish and alligator, and he does it all. He says his tagline is, "Put that on a cracker and eat it, dude." So you gotta check him out. If you don't know, shout out to Steel Cracker. Steel Cracker. You got Forlorn podcast, also the Helltown Radio podcast, also the Bar Boils podcast, also the No Concession Sessions podcast. What are we any other podcasts we talked about?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
All right, sorry. All right. I got a little bit. I drank a little bit of coffee before.
You're all good.
So I'm ready to talk. You talk. All right, you take it away. So let's go.
Okay. So I have some questions I gotta ask you.
Okay, ask me some questions.
Okay, so you said that something you're proud of recently is your career as a chef. How long have you been working towards that goal?
So it was a goal that I worked towards, and I feel like I attained most of the goal. Like, I guess I don't know what's the word I'm looking for here. Most of the accomplishments I wanted to make as a chef, and I did for about 22 years. And I worked in Northern Virginia and Washington D.C. for those times. Then I came out this way about 10 years ago. I started really working out in this area. I worked at Pavement. I used to be one of the owners of the Nova restaurant.
Okay.
I've worked at the Vault and Cellar, the Whole Ox, where I learned so much of you. The Whole Ox is this amazing butcher shop and restaurant in Marshall, Virginia. Really cool. I did a lot of stuff like that. I was actually out. One of the coolest things I did was about 7 years ago. I can't believe it's already been 7 years. I went out to the Philippines, and I went to a small town called Car City, which is on the island of Cebu, and helped two gentlemen open up a restaurant down there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was a very life broadening and changing experience. Really cool. So yeah, I got to do like a lot of stuff as a chef and as a cook and as a restaurant person. And now, normally they tell you never to go back to front. But in this case, I've gone from, they call it the back of the house when you're in the kitchen, and I'm in the front of the house. I'm now a bartender at the prestigious Catamount Lounge in Front Royal at 124 East Main Street. We are a very cool cocktail lounge and entertainment venue. That's how we met.
Yes, that's actually how we met. It's an amazing bar.
It is.
You meet a lot of nice people, almost like a family down there, I would say.
Yeah, I think it'd be like one of those like families that you see on like on Jerry Springer.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like you try to figure out the dynamic. You try to figure out why Tino's so brown and I'm so white, but we're brothers. You know?
Yeah.
It's weird, you know. But that's how.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we met there. We did that. That's cool. Yeah, so I did that, and that's now also being a chef it was an interesting ride. Like I started off, just to be frank, I started off because I was in a position where I had made some decisions as a very young man that led me to have a legal conclusion that would disqualify me from a lot of jobs. Not the president of the United States anymore, though. Just to be cryptic there for you. But so I ended up, I was in college. I ended up dropping out of college and getting into cooking. I was having a baby at the time.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, so it was kind of like, pee or get off the toilet type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I only say that because I sit down when I pee.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. I don't. Unless it's the middle of the night. Bet you didn't think we were going there.
No.
No, but we did. And so here we are. I got into cooking and like I fell into a very fortunate sequence of events and opportunities in my career where I started working at a country club with my first job, like as a real like chef, or not chef, but a cook, line cook. There's a difference. I was a line cook at a country club, working for one of my sister's then ex-boyfriends, and he was cool. He was like he told me he was like, so the story is I was in college. I was having a baby. I was this deep in trouble, and I had to find a career path that I could do that where they are very forgiving. So I thought, you know who would take me? The Marine Corps. They'll take me. And I applied to the Marine Corps, and they're like, "No, sir, we can't. You disqualified because of these allegations against you." And I was like, "Oh wow, it's all weed." No, isn't that weird? And
that's crazy.
Yeah, now people are making all this money off it, and here I am, like social pariah. But not really. People love it. But so then I applied. You know where else I applied? Do you know what the French Foreign Legion is?
No.
Okay, so the French Foreign Legion is like the Marine Corps of the French Army,
Okay.
and they're known for doing the stuff the Marines won't even do, like the grimy, really international, big black ops stuff.
Wow.
And they used to take the thing was that the reason why was because they would take anybody, sort of like they were like the original Suicide Squad.
Okay.
So they take murderers, they take people like they would change your identity.
Kind of like McDonald's.
Yes, sort of like McDonald's. Yeah, you start off as an international spy, and then you end up on the fryer by month 2.
Yeah.
Hey, pretty soon you're on the grill flipping, and then within 2 years, you're working that drive-through.
Yeah.
Go international espionage to local gluttonary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nice. So, anyways, yeah, that they wouldn't take me, so I was like, all right. And then my sister's boyfriend at the time was like, hey, you can work in the restaurants. You cook at a restaurant. And I was actually working at a small restaurant in Blacksburg called Backstreets, and it was a pizza and Italian place. And I was skipping class to go to work. I was like, it was really, I was doing. I was more interested in going to work, and I was just enamored by the lifestyle. You go to work late, you get to hang out during the day. After work, the library is not open after restaurants close.
Yeah.
So you learn about bar life. You're hanging out with, there's lots of girls. There's lots of party. So you're having a good time. And I was like, and then you're also doing something that's it's a tangible art form. It's a multimedia art form. You're creating art. You're having fun while you're doing it. If you're good at it, if you're good at tricking yourself, you can have a great time in the kitchen because it's a stressful situation, but you have to just turn it into a game or you have to make fun with it. And that was like my thing. If you know me as a chef, I started off as like a burning asshole. I was so terrible. When I was a young chef, I thought I was Mr. Thing, and I was like, I was mean to people, and I was not like, I wasn't doing it for the right reason. I was doing it because I fed my ego. But then as time went on,
I think that happens to like a lot of people though when they first start.
Anything, yeah.
Anything.
If you're good at something, like you're really good at comedy, and then you come on stage now and you just beat me up and you kick me when you can. I'm just kidding. Neve is always, she's never mentioned me once in any of her stand-ups yet, but she will one day. But no, so it was, I started off that way. I had one of the very influential chefs in my life, my career. He came to me and he said, hey man, you're gonna attract more bees with honey than vinegar type thing. And he said like, he was like, hey man, you're having a hard time if you're gonna try to fight all these guys all the time. And I was like, hey, and he was kind of right, and that translated into a lot of facets of my life as well. Um, so it was a cool, it was a cool career. I did, I got to do, I got to go around the world. I got to work in entertain. I worked at famous hotels, like the Watergate Hotel. I was there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the world famous Watergate Hotel. Now at the world famous Cat Mountain Lounge at 124 East Main Street in Front Royal, Virginia, 22630. For those people trying to plug that in their GPSs. Um, I worked at the Monument in Winchester, where I got to do a lot of stuff. I was the chef there, but the director of operations was kind enough to take me under his wing and kind of let me observe the rest of the operation. So I learned a lot about entertainment. And actually, I got to do we had a podcast there called No Concession Sessions, and so my chef career kind of was the offshoot for me to get involved with podcasting. And we did it. It was a very cool podcast. It was we professionally produced it by Corey King, aka DJ Curfew. He was our producer, and then we had Justin Tenpenny, who's now the director of operations at general manager at Two Silos, and also their upcoming restaurant, or their upcoming project called Proof. I think it's called Proof, or Everybody Eats or something. I don't know. I got to figure that out. Sorry, Justin. Um, but he ended up letting me, see, book how they booked, and I saw
Wow, that's really nice.
I got to hang out with a lot of musicians, and I was good at helping with the receiving of the artists. So I got to meet a lot of artists. I partied with a lot of them.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool, man. We met I got to do. We did 3 big comedy shows there when I was there, and we had Tony Woods, who's a DC legend. He's a most notorious for being Dave Chappelle's mentor. We had John Reap from Hickory in North Carolina, who he's known for. He's been on a bunch. You probably see him in movies. He's the Hemi spokesperson. We had him on the show. He was really cool. He was a really nice guy. I got to hang out with him a lot. Then my most interesting of them all, Tanya Lee Davis. And Tanya Lee Davis is the Guinness Book of World Records smallest stand-up comedian. She's about 3 feet tall. Yeah, so she is dwarfism of sorts. I couldn't tell you exactly off the top, but that was one of the coolest celebrity experiences I ever had. We we smoked blunts and talked for hours, and she told me stories about all of her debauchery. And I'm not even gonna say the stuff she told me, because you're not. You ain't gonna like it. Well, you're gonna like it, but we'll talk about that after. But that was like just something I could say I did at work was, hey, my job for her show was to pick her up and carry her from the floor to the stage to her seat on stage. So I had to carry this grown woman who's also a total pervert, and she made total jokes about it. It was great, and so that was cool. And so I guess with that very caffeinated and long-winded rant, yeah, dude, I'm very proud of my chef position, because it opened a lot of doors for me, and it taught me a lot about life. Like, you learn a lot working in kitchens, and
would you say that your chef career actually brought you up, like moved you towards your comedic professions?
I think a combination of being a chef and then being a failed weed dealer and ending up in jail. It was a combination too. It was sort of like higher learning for comedy. You start off in the back of the house at a restaurant, and then you get yourself incarcerated, and then you really develop a sense of humor. Because if you can't, I'll tell you what, I did. People were like, "Oh, jail's scary" and all that stuff. Jail's a little bit scary, but if you can make people laugh, you're good. You're gold, man. You're gold, man. So like anything that you hear, and it's not as sexual as advertised. Okay, I tried. Okay,
Yeah.
Nobody wanted me. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't like that. I'm not gay, so that's the problem. But it was being chef, definitely. I mean, yeah, I think it's like just my life experience. Everything's funny to me. Like, we joke.
Oh yeah.
You know, I try to joke about everything, and that's just my coping mechanism
Oh yeah.
because
sure.
I'm a total basket case, and so
And that's
that's
the
true.
only way you can really get through it. I mean, for me, anyways, because if you don't joke about it, what else are you supposed to do?
Yeah, dude, like, yeah, and it's you do great with it. Which I'm a big fan actually. That's why I'm here. Like
Yeah.
I'm here. We're here on the No Food Allowed podcast. Yeah. Oops. Water is not food, everybody. Water is not food. All right. What's the next one? What's the next one?
Okay, so the next one is what is your favorite thing to cook right now?
My favorite thing to cook right now, in general, I like to make soup.
Soup?
Yeah, I like to
Okay.
make soup, and I like soup. It doesn't matter what type of soup, but I like soup because it's very systematic and it's like therapeutic. Therefore, so like you have to start off. You make your mise en place, which is literally means make in place in French. And so you cut your vegetables, you get your spices together, you get all your things, and then you have to like start developing. Depending on what kind of soup you make, there's different. You have to cook things in certain orders, or you have to put things in at the end because you don't want them to overcook. Whereas other ingredients, and it's just a way of balancing. It's kind of like a juggling act of. It's in my life. I think soup is a good metaphor because it's sort of like you're juggling chaos to create flavor.
Oh yeah.
And that's how I think I really that's my weird approach in life. Soup.
Oh, but I understand it because I've seen this trend on TikTok where people are just kind of just throwing stuff in their soup, and it'd be nice to just like just pick stuff from the grocery store, just like whatever you see, and just pop it in there.
You'd be surprised. One of my most famous soups,
Uh-huh.
and one of my most, I think, successful soups. I made a popcorn soup.
A popcorn soup.
And I got the popcorn from the Royal Cinemas from Rick Novak. Thanks, Rick, for always hooking me up with the fat bags of popcorn. I would get the popcorn from the cinema, and then I'd make a veloute, and then I would have to strain it a few times to get out all the kernels. You know what I mean? Like you think they get stuck in your teeth bad? Oh man, they get stuck in a blender even worse. So I made a popcorn soup. That was probably one of my more favorite ones. I'm a nefarious gumbo artist.
Oh, gumbo?
Yes.
Wow.
I should have worn my gumbo crown. I won a crown once at a gumbo competition.
Really?
Yeah, and it was in Tyson's Corner, Virginia, at the prestigious Tower Club. Hell, I was partnered up with my homie Matt Crum, one of my biggest mentors in the game and big homies. Love Big Matt. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Did you always want to be a chef? If yeah.
So I was like I always grew up with like my mom cooking and my grandmother
Uh-huh.
cooking. They were amazing cooks, and so I always when I was little, I was fascinated by like cooking shows. Like there was this show, I forget what television program it was, but the offshoot of the show was called Chef Combo, and he was a puppet and he would cook. And then my mom, I'd always watch her and I'd emulate her and my grandmother. So I learned a lot about like that. But my original plan was to be the owner of a strip club. And
Oh, really?
I aspired through most of high school. I went to Catholic school and just really.
It always turns out that way.
Yeah, I really focused on the girls with low self-esteem or daddy issues. This is a joke, by the way. All right, we're telling jokes that we're comedians. Well, I'm a joke teller. I'm not a comedian yet, but
yeah.
we'll get to that though. But no, I think when I was my initial plan, I think I'm hovering over this microphone. My initial plan was to go to college, and then I was going to go to college, and then you do the thing in college, I guess, and then you meet the other college people,
Yeah.
and then y'all finish college, and then you put on khakis and a polo shirt, and you go to the cubicle. But as aforementioned, due to some discretions I made as a young man, not really discretions, I think like we look at societally, I was on the right side of history here. I sold some weed, and that's what got me in trouble. Sorry if this is shocking. I love cannabis. I love it. I am on the cannabis. I'm on cannabis right now. It's a cannabis statement.
Do what you gotta do, bro.
Hey man, I'm here. I'm up like yank. But wait, where were we on that? Oh, I don't remember.
I actually don't remember.
I don't remember either. No, it's is this good to be here on the Forlorn?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Next question.
What's a funny story from your adulthood?
What's a funny story from my adulthood? All right, so, um, working in the restaurant business, you get out of work late. You're not, like I said before mentioned. It's like people ask why are restaurant people so prone to going to bars and stuff. It's like, well, like I said, the library, the church, and the gym ain't open, honey. You get in where you fit in, and that sometimes is the bar. So I've had a few pretty wild episodes. So one of them, I was at a bar with myself, and I just gotten off work, and I used to be good at drinking. I got terrible as time went on, but I used to be good at it. And when I was good at it, I'd go to the bar and have a beer and a shot, and a beer and a shot, and a beer and a shot. I had a couple beers and shots. I met these guys, and they had just come back from one of them had just come back from war, and he lost his leg
Oh.
in the war, and so we're drinking him, thanking him for his service, and we're having a good time. He's like, dude, whatever. And some guys came and picked a fight with us, and because they saw three bros hanging out, and they were like, all right, well, it's just how guys are.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's so much anymore, but like in the early 2000s, it was a really big thing for bros to pick fights in bars.
Huh.
And yeah, it was before Tinder. So that was like, you were to do one of two things that night. But so anyways, the dude took off his leg and started hitting people with it in the fight.
Oh my gosh.
And at one point, he got done with using his leg, and he tossed it to me and said, hit somebody with this mofo. And I swung that thing like Luke Skywalker with a lightsaber, but it smelled weirder.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that's one of my weird adult stories. Another weird adult story I have for you is I was in Las Vegas about 2006, and I was wearing a Pete Rose jersey. Do you know who Pete Rose is? Charlie Hustle. He should be a Hall of Famer if he's not already. But anyways, there was a big scandal around him. He was betting on baseball while he was managing baseball. So the insinuation is that he was betting against himself, and so he didn't. He claims he didn't. I trust him because I met the guy, and this is a funny story. So I was wearing his jersey. I was walking in Las Vegas down the strip, and I hear just out of the back of my ear, I hear, "Hey kid, nice jersey." And I turn around, and it was Pete Rose, and the guy's jersey I was wearing. It was a very famous guy, and I'm like, "Oh my god, man!" I'm like, "This is crazy." He's like, "Yeah, really, And I was like, he's like, "Well, did you buy?" He was like, "You obviously had this jersey for a long time, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, dude, yeah, big fan." He was super nice. I was like, "Well, you sign it for me?" And I happen to have a Sharpie on me, and he said, "Yeah, it'll cost you $75 though." And I got mad at first. But I came around because he explained, he was like, I have to pay my manager for any time I sign an autograph. I have to pay my manager half of what I make, and my minimum charge is $150. So I would be only charging you for his fee. And I thought that was kind of cool. And I was like, I think one of my first real glimpses at like the business side of show business, because I was like, at that point in time, I was just a chef and hanging out and trying to have all sorts of fun in Las Vegas. But yeah, that's another one of my wild.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Never would have known that they would actually have to pay their manager for our signature.
Well, we're gonna discuss like the agreement for when I started managing. You're amazing. You're skyrocketing, podcasting and stand-up comedy career. I'll only take 15%. No, I'm just kidding. We tell jokes. She won't need my help. She's smarter than I am. She is way smarter.
Oh no, I don't think so. We'll see. Now you're also a comedian. How important would you say laughter is?
Okay, so I would yet to say I don't like, it's like going from being a cook to being a chef. I think that there's a certain amount of merit and accomplishment you need to make. I think I've got another few months, 3 months before I'd really call myself a comedian. I think right now I'm an amateur joke teller. I'm a funny looking guy. I'm a smart feller. But I will smell some farts. But just kidding. That's gross. I like how important is laughter. Laughter is immensely important. Laughter is the ultimate medicine. Laughter is the ultimate it's the ultimate unifier. Like it's the ultimate unifying force in the world. Even love and hate, right?
Oh yeah.
You never hear laughter and violence, right? You hear if you
Yeah,
do, maybe you will sometimes, but
I'd step away from that person.
exactly.
Yeah.
But
Put on
often,
my flag.
but yeah, you think like laughter is like it's something that is a culture. It unifies people. It's something that you could be the poorest of poor, desolate person, and you could be a billionaire with immense amounts of resources, and people are going to like you better. And I believe that love and mutual understanding between people is way more valuable than money any day of the week. You can be the like that's what I'm saying. You can be so desolate now down out, but if you have that gift of gab, or if you have that ability to make somebody laugh, you're able to connect with whoever in the world, because you can connect with that billionaire. You can connect with me. You can connect with you. You can connect with these young ladies out here doing their homework, and that dude, who knows what he's doing, running around here in a rugby jersey. Is he? I think he's lost, man. The playing field's over there, sir. But yes, it's very. I think it's very important, and it's carried me very far in life. I will say, I mean, because yeah, as my aforementioned, discretions and higher education experiences would dictate. I think that I have bullshitted my way through a fair amount of job interviews and also networking opportunities with people where they get to see that I'm not just Barney Rubble with a bunch of crazy tattoos on, but I got something to say, and that's cool because I got to use the humor to link it.
Oh yeah. Yes. Laughter is awesome. It just got a little awkward. Sorry.
It's not awkward. It's not awkward unless you make it awkward.
Okay.
Yeah, just don't make eye contact. That's fine. That's when it gets weird.
No, I've noticed that you do most of the marketing at Catamounts. How did that start?
All right, so I will say that I do a fair amount of marketing. I'm not going to say that I do all of it, but we're going to, I'm not trying to get No, Shannon does the majority of the marketing.
Oh, she does?
She does for the Catamount page. I'm sort of like a rogue, like vigilante type marketer, guerrilla marketer, if you will. I dress up in a gorilla outfit and then throw bananas at people up front. No, that's not what I do. But what I do get involved. I think I learned a little bit about marketing in college.
Yeah.
That was one thing, but I learned more about marketing in this very aggressive restaurant market that's happening today. And you see, like, you really get a feel for a few things. People want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And in order to do so, you need to have a point of broadcast. And social media has really opened that up for people. And for me, especially, because I'm really lazy and I can do that shit right from my phone in bed when I'm covered in puppies. It's great. But that's a joke. But
oh, sorry.
But I do. That's partially. It's a partial truth. It's partial truth. I do some stuff with my dogs crawling all over me because they're the cutest things in the world. But I do like what I try to do is I think about my job as a sales position. Like I'm a bartender, right?
Yeah.
But I am selling a product, and I do make a commission on that product based on tips, right? So the more people that come in, the more people spend money, the more tips are going to accrue, the more money that I'm going to make. And so I don't think about my job per se as a service position. I think of it more of a sales position, and then I just throw my weird bullshit bravado into it to make it interesting and like have connectivity. And that's again where laughter comes into, like, laughter is big. Like I would venture to say that a large percent of the tips that I make past normal, like when I get like something that's like a larger than normal tip, is because I've made that person laugh, because I make sure, like, I want to laugh when I go to a restaurant. I want to feel welcome. I want to feel, and that's the best way for somebody that kind of like, I might not, I try to come off as being nicest person as possible, but laughter is definitely that unifying agent.
Okay. Okay, now we're gonna do talking adulting.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. We'll see how this goes.
Yep. I mean, considering you're talking to like this is what Peter Pan would be like in 2025. I'm living out here in Neverland, hanging out with
Be
a bunch
like,
of lost boys.
he probably go back to his little.
Instead of a little pan flute, I got like a
Yeah.
bong. I'm like, I do actually play a mean bong. You should hear me. They say I'm the Jimi Hendrix of bongs.
Okay.
So what about adulting?
Okay. What has been the hardest thing to overcome during adulthood?
The hardest thing to overcome when you become an adult or as through adulthood is realizing that you're not the center of the universe. You're not that important. Not everybody loves you. You're not special. I mean, this is rough, right? This is this is real talk, and this is gonna make you. This is actually more compassionate. This is more compassionate than me telling you everybody's everything. Everybody can do everything. Everybody is loved. Because I'm not. I know that for a fact.
Because it's not true. The world is like really dark out there.
Yeah,
it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
It's not, but it's how you manage it, right?
Yes.
It's like, do you want to get stuck? Do you get stuck in the rain or you dance in the rain, right?
Exactly.
So like, and that's just how you manage it, and that's that. And so that's I think the hardest lesson of being an adult is that in order to enjoy life and in order to realize I guess self-awareness is where I'm trying to go with this. Is like being self-aware of your strengths, your weaknesses, being aware that this universe does not revolve around you, and being aware that like you're, in my humble opinion, the most important thing you can have with anything in the world is connectivity and the transmission of good energy and good vibes. And you can't do that if you think you're the be all end all of anything, or or if you think that you're so that you're the most important person in the world. And so that's why I came on this podcast, was because I sometimes do think that I am the center of the world and the center of attention, and so Neve just happens to be a facilitator for that. She's an enabler. She's just killing. I'm just no, but I think the hardest thing about being an adult is realizing that it's not always all about you. Now, if you're a white woman, you get 7 days a week for your birthday. All right, that's a law I've heard. Man,
I actually asked for a month this year.
Yeah,
but
oh man, don't you get tired of it, man? My birthday is always on it's always a big deal for me and my friends. It's on Labor Day, it's on Memorial Day weekend, not more times than not. And by the end of the weekend, it start on a Friday, you got to go all the way through to Tuesday. By Tuesday, my old ass is done, man. That's it.
Oh really?
Yeah, but that's something else here's another lesson I learned. I learned this yesterday, actually. New rule I have for being an adult. If it involves having to go farther than 30 minutes away, when I was your age, we would jump in a car. I'd be like, yo, you want to go to New York City? Just be like, yeah, let's go. Let's just drive up to New York City. It's fine. Gas was cheap. Tolls were cheap. We could drive. We could be back. We could be to New York City and back by, 10 p.m. tonight, whatever, And we would drive and we do some crazy stuff like that. Now, if I have to go over 30 minutes, there's 24-hour notification needed. We're gonna have to go through all of the Google Maps, Waze, everything. We got to find different routes to go just in case there's traffic. It's just a lot more involved process.
Yeah.
Spontaneity becomes the novelty of spontaneity. Sometimes you'll be like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I like to be spontaneous though.
But you know what else sucks about adulting? Taxes, man. Taxes.
Oh yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, but you know what's weird? What's awesome? So my life, to speak to my Peter Pan-ness, so my mother and father-in-law run a giant accounting, or they used to have a giant accounting firm, and they just all I gotta do is hand them all my papers, and I've had to do that for the past 15 years of my life, and
really,
yeah, it's pretty intense, man. I got it pretty good today. Yeah, it's pretty wild, dude. It's pretty good, man. I love life.
No, actually, this year for my taxes, neither one of my employers sent them in the mail. So I had to track them down to my employers. I even had to call IRS. And they were like, oh yeah, we'll send you their taxes.
Coming for you.
And when they sent me mail, they sent 4 different copies of the same thing that were not my W-2s. And then I finally got them like 5 days before April 15th, and we're able to get my taxes in, which is good. But yeah.
High five. I hope that they mess up on your return and give you $1 billion.
I know.
Then-
They should.
Yeah, then you take over the world.
Finally.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it's at 34 minutes right now.
Oh man, 35 minutes. No.
I apologize, but we're going to have to end it a little short today. I don't have enough money for your premium Adobe. You guys have a good day. See you guys later.
We'll continue this another.
We'll continue another, yeah,
We'll do this
another day.
another time, but the same Neve channel, same Neve podcast, the Forlorn podcast. Although, man, Forlorn is not how I feel. Forlorn, I feel fortitude. I feel.
Okay. It's uploading. It said 30 minutes right here. Before I stopped recording.
All right. Well, it was a good show, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If you want, I don't know if you want to record more. If you want to, are we still recording?
Oh yeah, we're still recording.
Not, I mean, I can go smoke a cigarette too.
Okay.
How long do you have the thing till 2?
Yeah, till 2.
I mean, if you want to record just stuff on your phone and then you can upload it later or however you want to do it.
Oh yeah.
Or let's go smoke a cigarette. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette,
Okay.
and then are you gonna hang out here for a minute?
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal this for a minute. All right. This is fun. This is really cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. Sorry, I talk a lot.
Oh no, you're good. You're fine. It keeps it moving.
I do, dude. Like I said, 100. You know, it's like one of my things